The morning they bulldozed my great-grandfather's bridge, I wasn't just angry, I was done. Done playing polite, done responding to certified letters, done trusting the system. That bridge wasn't just stone and mortar. It was my family's legacy. And when they tore it down without warning, I decided to do the one thing no one thought I'd ever do, drain the entire lake their $4 million resort depended on. It started like any Tuesday, 6 a.m. The lake was still wrapped in fog. I'm out on the dock, sipping coffee, listening to loons and creaking planks, when I hear the rumble. Deep, guttural, unmistakable, diesel engines. Then, through the mist, I see it, a yellow bulldozer crawling toward the bridge like a tank. 2 more trucks behind it, men in vests, hard hats, radios. I ran. I yelled. Didn't matter. They had paperwork. They had orders. They had a smug little woman standing with her arms crossed, wearing white heels and a fake smile, Barbara Langston, president of the Oakridge Shores HOA. "You can't do this," I shouted. Her voice didn't even rise. "We already did." See, Barbara wasn't from around here. She moved in 2 years ago from Scottsdale, bought a lakefront mansion, and within 6 months had muscled her way to the top of the HOA board, the kind of person who calls the cops on lemonade stands, the kind who uses community standards as a weapon. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that bridge wasn't just old, it was protected. My great-grandfather, Walter Dean, built it in 1924, hand-cut limestone, stone arch, connected our cabin to the main road before there were subdivisions, before Oakridge Shores was even a name. And tucked in the attic, sealed in a fireproof box, were the original deed, records, maps, and, most important, a water rights agreement signed by the county in 1923. That agreement granted Walter and his heirs perpetual flow authority over Lake Norwood. See, the bridge wasn't just a bridge. It sat above a secondary spillway. Walter designed the dam. He built the bypass channels. The HOA may have thought they ran this lake, but I legally controlled how much water stayed in it. They didn't know that yet, but they would. After they demolished the bridge, I spent 2 days in a rage. Then I did what any good engineer does when cornered, I started reading. I called my old professor at Texas A&M, a specialist in historical water law. I sent scans to my cousin's wife, who works for the State Water Authority. I brought in a surveyor. Turns out, that spillway hadn't been touched in 50 years, but it was still functional, and it was mine. Meanwhile, Barbara was just getting warmed up. She fined me for having a fishing net on my dock, said my mailbox was the wrong color, claimed my shed was visibly weathered. Then she sent private security, her brother-in-law's company, to patrol my property line. Guys with mirrored sunglasses and clipboards, taking photos of my gutters. I started documenting everything, every notice, every visit. I filed a complaint with the state about their unlicensed security. I requested HOA financial records, public documents, by the way, and started noticing weird payouts, $8,000 to Langston Consulting, $5,500 to Norwood Maintenance Solutions, which turned out to be run by her nephew. Nepotism, fraud, it was all there. But I was playing a long game. You see, the resort across the lake, the one Barbara kept bragging about, was funded by a $4 million commercial loan. I got a copy of their environmental impact report and found a clause that changed everything. If the lake dropped more than 18 inches below full pool for longer than 72 hours, the bank could call the loan due immediately. So, I called a meeting. I showed up to the next HOA board session with a banker's box full of evidence, water rights, deed records, photos of the spillway, copies of the payments. "I'm not here to argue," I told them. "I'm here to offer you a choice." Barbara laughed. "You're bluffing." "No," I said, "I'm draining the lake." She turned red. "That's terrorism." "No," I said again, "that's maintenance." The board voted to reject my claims. One member abstained. The rest followed Barbara's lead. She stood up, dramatic. Let it be known that Mr. Dean is a danger to this community. That night, I walked to the spillway, opened the access panel, and turned the valve 3 full times. Within 6 hours, the lake dropped 11 inches. By noon the next day, the resort's boat docks were grounded. Tourists were posting photos online: mud, dead fish, sunken kayaks. By the 3rd day, the bank pulled out. Barbara called an emergency meeting, but this time it was chaos. Half the homeowners demanded her resignation. The other half accused me of environmental sabotage. Then the sheriff showed up, said they'd gotten an anonymous tip I was tampering with public infrastructure. I handed him the paperwork. My great-grandfather built this system, I said. Legally, I operate it. He read it twice, shook his head, and said, "This is above my pay grade." Barbara wasn't done. She went on the local news, called me a dangerous extremist, said I was endangering children, destroying property values. But every time she talked, people dug a little deeper. Her husband's company had received $30,000 in unapproved payments. Her cousin had been awarded contracts without bidding, and her own backyard guest house was built 4 feet into a protected wetland zone. 2 weeks later, the county issued a restraining order against her: misuse of funds, abuse of authority, permit violations. The board voted to remove her. She left town the next morning. The new HOA president, Mrs. Nora Caldwell, an 82-year-old who'd lived here since 1967, asked me to help draft a new set of bylaws, ones that respected historical structures and community heritage. We renamed the rebuilt bridge Walters Crossing. The county even approved it as a historic site. 3 months later, the resort reopened under new ownership. They negotiated with me directly. I agreed to maintain water levels in exchange for preservation easements. We even created a joint scholarship in my great-grandfather's name for civil engineering students focused on sustainable water systems. Funny how things work out. Now, every July, we host Bridge Day, live music, catfish fry, kids jumping off the dock, the very dock Barbara once tried to find me for. And sometimes, I just stand there, hand resting on the limestone rail, listening to the water flowing, steady, calm, but strong. Because here's the truth: water doesn't care about power trips or bylaws. It follows gravity. It follows design. And it remembers who built it. So, if someone ever tries to bulldoze your legacy, don't just yell. Don't beg. Learn the system. Know your rights. And if they push you into a corner, let the water speak for you. Now, tell me this: what would you have done if someone tore down something your family built with their own hands? Would you fight back or walk away? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your story. And if you're facing your own HOA nightmare, stay tuned. Next time, I'll tell you about the rancher who used mineral rights to stop a billionaire from paving over her land. It gets wild.